This is David Prosper, host of The Leadership Revolution. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast from Public House Media.
Disarming disability.
Nakia, hello! It's so good to hear your voice. And Art, can you still hear us?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Good morning, Art.
Well, hello, Nakia, darling. How are you?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm same. I'm okay. Just shaking up about a lot of what's going on. I mean, just trying to stay out of harm's way. And of course, the place that I bought is over in an area, that is regentrifying, but yet, they tore up everything around here. Thank God the complex where I live was unscathed, but I live with a lot of the grandmothers of this community, and so now they're faced with, no medicine in grocery stores, and, so emotionally, I'm a wreck, but, spiritually, I'm beautiful. I'm, no issues, no complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I second that. I live in Little Village.
Oh,
and
okay.
It is, I don't know if you know, Nikki, but it's practically and Sarah, is Sarah on the line?
Hi, meet Sarah.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. I'm so sorry. Good morning. Such a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for having me.
And me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But I live in Little Village, and it's practically a race war going on over here. And so I know. Today I'm heavy. Today I'm heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really heavy. I was up late last night working on putting this presentation together. I'm facilitating a session for Bentley University on Thursday. So I needed to finish pulling some stuff together. And I couldn't work because the amount of constant gunshots was unnerving. To hear, 7 in a row every 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm a city girl.
Were these the rubber bullets coming out of what we're hearing police?
No. It's a gang war. No, it's a gang war. Right. These are gunshots. And I'm a Chicago girl, born and bred on the west side. I'm not afraid of bullets. The sound of bullets have never unnerved me. It just is almost a part of the tapestry of the city when you grow up on the south and the west side. But last night was unnerving. Because it was consistent, and to hear the helicopters and to hear the police racing down the street consistently all night long, it was.
Well, that's the way I felt about Sunday night. Sunday night was almost like the night my mother died. If that could be any equation to what I've been through, it reminded me of the night my mother died. Just trying to go to sleep was the big issue. And just like Nakia, I live on a major street, and just as we started this interview, police were racing past. Now, give it an hour, they'll race past the other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Sunday, my street was like the runway at O'Hare Airport of emergency, fire, ambulance, and then I could always tell when the looting was happening because they were coming down my street to throw the boxes and hangers and all that in front of where I live.
Wow. Do you have a lot of looting where you've been at, Nakia?
No, there is not. It's pretty residential where I am. So there's not. One, it's pretty residential. Two, I live in Pilsen. I mean, not Pilsen. I live in Little Village. I'm sorry. And so it's not. There are the main thoroughfares on 22nd Street. But I also live behind a police station, directly behind a police station. So, interestingly, on Sunday, I was actually saying to my godmother that it was as we lived in a different place because we didn't see it at all. We didn't see it. We didn't hear it at all. And Yesterday we got our fair share of it.
Right.
Yeah, we got our fair share of it. And so what is happening right now is we are seeing the change unfold right before our eyes, and it's painful. And it's spreading like wildfire in our city, and it's spreading like wildfire in our country, in our world. And it is painful.
It is. It really, really is. It truly, truly is.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, are you ready to get this interview underway, or are we already in the interview?
Yeah. I was recording from the beginning there, but of course, respectfully, whatever you're interested in sharing or not sharing, we want to make sure, we're being respectful of that. But that, really, Art and I talked about this yesterday, Nakia, but just so you kind of understand, Sarah and I are just kind of really looking to give both you and Art the floor and just allow you to kind of talk through what you think needs to be talked through right now, or share what you think needs to be shared. We don't want to be asking you the stupid, annoying questions. We do want to ask you what ways, how actually can we be helpful during this time, and how can we help amplify or be helpful. But really our goal in chatting with you today is just to give you the floor, really, is essentially what we're looking to do.
Well, let me say this to you both, Nikki and Sarah, and am I calling you Nikki or Nicole? What do we use?
Oh, you can, whatever, you call me Nikki, you call me Nikki.
Okay. But I want to say this to you, and I really, really mean this, that I think you should ask whatever question you need to ask. I don't think that you should hold back. I would say that we are a safe space for you to ask the questions that need to be asked, because you may be thinking them and someone else may be thinking them, and we won't get the answer out. And it's not that often where these kind of conversations happen, and the conversations are safe.
Yeah.
And until we can have hard dialogue, no one's going to really understand and no one's going to really hear. So I'm going to push back on you all a little bit and even provide permission for you to ask whatever you need to ask, whatever the questions that's burning in your soul. This is why you do this work. This is why you are in this space, because those questions that are burning in your soul that need to be answered, somebody else needs to hear as well.
Great.
And I co-sign her statement 100%.
I love you guys. No, really, I appreciate that, and please keep us in check then as we are having conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah and I we just want to be aware of the fact that living, Art and Nakia, of course, also identify as disabled, and so we've had lots of conversations around that, and I'm very comfortable having, those kinds of conversations in that space with you. And there's that. There's the conversation of it's not our job to educate. Pick up the books you need to pick up and do the homework you need to do to be educated. And so we just want to be really mindful that, if there are stupid questions being asked, that you call us out, So also that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I know that sort of the work that we're doing in sort of disability advocacy, I know that that's something that we come back to a lot, is that we really want people to be allies and also to help support, that the meat or the sort of core of what's happening is coming from the disabled community, and that the allies are following that message rather than people hearing something and then sort of leading things on their own that could be completely off task and off topic and that or actually end up being destructive. So I feel like I know internally in myself, because I don't identify with the Black community, but I want to help and support and be a good ally to the Black community. But I also, and I want to be able to, to learn and take action, but I also want to know that I'm learning and taking action that's on the objective of the Black community, and I'm not making things worse.
Well, Sarah, Art is an expert. Art is the media expert, and I will follow his lead. But I think the two of us, are comfortable in our Blackness. We are comfortable in who we are, and we love people. And so, and I would say our skins are pretty thick, and there isn't anything that we can't handle. And so let it rip, and we will help you. And knowing Nikki and knowing who she is, I think creates a very level playing field here, where an open and honest dialogue will do more good for people than the fear of stepping on our toes, the fear of misleading. We got it. We can handle it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. So I guess with that, we technically haven't even introduced who you guys are. We have with us today Art Sims and Nakia Green. Art is an amazing radio personality, just person extraordinaire, and Nakia does a ton of diversity, equity, and inclusion work. But I want them to kind of introduce themselves as well. So Art, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I'm so honored to have my sister Nakia on the phone with me as well, too. My name is Art Sims, but everyone knows me as Chat Daddy. I'm a 26-year media personality, radio, television, and newspaper. My newest platform is digital media. I'm a native Chicagoan, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Over the course of my life, I've lived everywhere from the downtown area. Currently, I'm a resident on the south side. I'm very proud Chicagoan. We're the third largest city in the country, and I've just watched so many things over the course of my life that I'm just overwhelmed with grief and emotion with the current state of the way things are in our country, in our cities, and even in our homes.
I am excited to dive into that with you a little bit here. Nakia, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah and Nikki, for having me. I, as well, am overjoyed in being on this platform with this expert by the name of Chat Daddy. and I am grateful for the space to have this conversation. My name is Nakia Green. I, too, am a Chicagoan, born and bred on the west side of Chicago. I'm a complete Chicago girl, though. There is no parts of this city that has not been untouched by me in my lifetime. I am a diversity, equity, and inclusion practitioner. I have a for-profit organization, Culture Solutions, and a nonprofit, Culture Solutions in Action. The founder of those, the goal is to minimize unemployment and underemployment amongst minority and disabled college graduates. Likewise, I have a consulting firm, Nakia J Consulting, that focuses on DEI, leadership development, and organizational development. I identify as a Black woman with a disability that you can't see, a Christian Black woman with a disability that you can't see, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I mean, let's just jump right in. I'm wondering if you can share, we kind of started the call talking about what you were seeing and hearing around you. Can you share what you've been seeing and hearing around you the past couple of days? This is a two-parter question, both like outside your window, outside your Chicago window in your community, but then also what have you been seeing and hearing when you're logging on to like social media sites? What are those two different areas looking like in your world right now?
I'll start first. The one thing I will say is social media. I look at it like this. It's a blessing and a curse all in the same keystroke, if that makes sense. It has helped me to stay connected with my city. It has helped me to stay connected with the community. But the various things that I've seen on social media are just heart-wrenching, from the beginning of, just the protesters standing up for the life of George Floyd and so many others who have died tragically at the hands of law enforcement officers, to actually those that are opportunists, to be looters, to just destroy and wreak havoc on the communities that they come from. I'm a huge advocate of social media. This is how my career is staying afloat right now. But I'm also sickened by just, the way we've seen things unfold. But this is also our new way of seeing how our world lives.
Social media has been, sometimes for me, especially during this time, it can be a void, and it can suck you in quickly and suck the life out of you. It is painful to see Black men die, publicly lynched. It is painful to see the countless stories of women who die at the hands of police, and transgender brothers and sisters who are dying at the hands of the police. And then likewise see protests of white men and white women who are fully armed, and they are not met with the same aggression. They are not met with the same force as Black and brown and our allies who are protesting, and not met with the same force. So it's painful. It's painful to see people grapple with what's right and what's wrong. People try to place blame on people in communities who are looting, who are protesting, without allowing the agitators to bear the weight of what is happening. It is painful to watch people grapple with the losses that they see in their community. It is painful to watch people still in this uprising that's happening. We are still dealing with the pandemic. So that's painful to watch, because people are still dying and people are still unable to bury their loved ones or to send them off in grand fashion as we are accustomed to. So it's quite painful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, how does what's happening right now in the world, does this feel different than other times that there have been protests, or we've tried to actually move the dial forward a little bit? And if it does, or if it doesn't, why?
I remember when Ferguson was happening, and the uprising was happening in St. Louis, and then it started to spark across the country. I didn't feel like this. There's something different about this. It very well could be our government that's different, that we have been faced with a person that sits in the White House, that has been racist, has been sexist, has been an ableist. You name it, he has done it. And so this feels different, probably because of that. This also feels different because we are, again, I say, in the middle of a pandemic. And 2020 has been tough. And then so much has happened in this week alone, last week alone. Not only did you have George Floyd, not only you had Tony McDade, you had Breonna, you had a list of Black people. You had Mr. Cooper in New York. You had all of these things happening at the same time in the same week. And people of color, Black people in particular, are tired.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely, I could not. Years and years of discrimination, years and years of the status quo, years and years of having to prove yourself not only to the world, to your employers, to mankind. The issue that I am faced with all the time, Nakia will do extremely well because she's a beautiful, talented, and smart Black woman. As a Black man, I've got to double up. I've got to build the confidence of those around me that I'm not going to snatch your purse. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to have sexual relationships with you. I'm here to be valued as a human. I'm here to be valued as someone who has a gift. And believe it or not, you know, I'm kind of split on this because I've had abuse from both my own race of people. I've had abuse from other races of people. But in all, I've got to say that when times have gotten really tough, it was other races of people who really did give me the hand up. It really. So I'm not, you know, I'm not against people of all walks of life coming together to love and nurture and help each other. I'm not against that at all, but I'm really questioning where are we in our humanity as just people as a whole.
I think Art brings up a great point in this notion that this is a black-white thing, because it's not. It is a matter of humanity. It is a matter of seeing Black people as you see yourself, and seeing Black people for who they are, which means seeing their experiences as well. And so it's important that when we talk about these issues, that it's not an indictment on one person, but it absolutely is an indictment on the system that allowed this to occur. It is an indictment. It's not an indictment on white women or white men, but it is an indictment on white men who allow their privilege to ensure that the systems stay in place. It's not an indictment on an individual person, but it is an indictment on those that don't recognize their privilege and don't use their privilege to speak truth to power.
I know that a lot of the disability history, if it's shared at all, is entirely whitewashed, right? Like, we don't share the stories or the leaders who are of different groups. When I was looking to do a post in relation to some of our Black leaders, I was digging back into the 504 sit-in, and sort of we know that the Black Panthers, sort of in relation to Bradley Lomax, who was really prominent in ensuring that all of the protesters were being fed. And one of the quotes that I read out of here said, from the Black Panthers, when they're like, why are you helping disability rights movements? And they said, we support you because you're asking America to change, to treat you like human beings, like you belong. We always support people fighting for their rights. And I just felt that was really powerful in sort of in conjunction where, like, I know here as me in my efforts to try to help promote disability advocacy, that, like, we're all sort of in this together, and, like, now it's my turn to help you know, my brothers and sisters who are helping me, and sort of all of those things. So I feel like that sort of reiterates and re-highlights what you're saying, that these are human rights issues, and that we need to acknowledge and that our Black Americans and our Black leaders are humans and need to be treated and incorporated as such.
Absolutely. I don't know if you had the same experience as I did, but when we were all in ADA 25 Advancing Leadership, and we learned of the disability rights movement and its history, and learned the deep connection to the civil rights movement, it brought meaning to the movement for me. Because, as you said, Sarah, disability is, in 2016 there was a hashtag, disability too white. And there, if you run that hashtag, you'll see a lot of notes and images that portray that. But we having that, being able to see myself in the disability movement by way of being connected to the civil rights movement helped me tremendously in my personal walk, in my personal disability walk, because I have a privilege of having the privilege and the curse of having a disability that you can't see. And so I can enter into spaces and not be seen in that manner, and enter into those same spaces and not be seen when I need to be seen, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It does. Yes, it does.
I'm also wondering, from the variety of movements that have happened sort of after Ferguson, I also want to say I sort of remember things from the Occupy movement. From these various things that have happened, have you found that there was any initial change that you were really excited about that came as a result of these movements? And did that change kind of fade away? Do we feel like we're does it feel at all like we're moving forward and then moving back, or does it always kind of feel like we're moving back at all? Can you tell me sort of what has life felt like after those movements? Does it feel like it just went right back to where it was? Or do we feel like there's anything that is kind of growing that is helpful, I suppose?
To me, nothing much has truly changed. It has been the same situation over and over again. It's a lot of lip service, but very little action. And with a lot of the destruction that has gone on, not only here in Chicago, but across the country, of the looting and rioting, it's a demographic that is saying, some are up to no good, but then there's the other demographic that says too much corruption, too much materialism, too much xenophobia, too much just a lot of things that have just gone awry for years. And I think now more than ever that everything is being destroyed. As you see, young people here in Chicago are taking it to the burbs. They're just knocking everything out. They're crippling a system of people.
I would like to add that Chicago has not seen uprising as they have in the last few days, as they did in 1960 when Dr. King was killed. And the South and the West Side were damaged tremendously. That happened all over this country, all at the same time. The entire cities went up in a blaze. And I read something that said after the 6th day of consistent riots, Civil Rights Act of 1968 was passed. Mm-hmm. After 6 days of burning cities, after 6 days of burning institutions and bucking against systems, we got the Civil Rights Act of 1968. When we look at uprisings, when it's people of color, we use words like riots and looting, right? Which provide a negative connotation. And it doesn't matter who's doing the looting and who's doing the rioting. Because it's a black issue, it's always going to be put on black people. But we celebrate this country's active looting and active rioting. When we go to war, this is what we do in other people's countries. This is exactly what we do. When as we are concerned about the National Guard being on our streets, we do this to countries every day. Every day. We celebrate the Boston Tea Party. We learned that in our history books as small children. They're doing the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important that we are careful about this narrative. While it is hurtful I know small business owners. I know people who are out of work because of all that has happened. But to be black in America is to be in a state of rage at all times. Mm. And that is a quote by James Baldwin. And so when you shake up a bottle of pop or soda and you take the top off, it will bust. It will spill out everywhere. It will get on everything. And that is what we are experiencing right now.
Mm. I'm wondering, I want to be respectful of time here. I'm wondering if we can, or you can share with us, what are active ways, good ways that your allies can actually step in and be useful? You know, what really is the ways that we can step up?
Okay. Social media is powerful. Using your voice on social media, pushing back against organizations that do not support the people. Even if it's organizations that you work for, hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. Hold your peers accountable. And leave room for your black and brown friends to hold space, and you follow them.
Yeah.
Follow them. Excuse me. Follow them, and they're holding their space. And to donate. There are tons of organizations, specifically all over Chicago, all over Minneapolis, that are working to not only bail people out who are imprisoned because of the riots, but also that are doing training on the ground for people who are organizing. Donate to those organizations. Put your money where your mouth is. So we can talk about things, but we have to also be moved to action. And there are tons of things that are happening all across this country. There are beautiful images of allies standing in between their black counterparts and the police. There are things that are happening on the ground. Share those things.
I love it. What would you like to leave us with? What parting words do you have as we kind of come to the end of our call here? What words of wisdom do you have, Art?
The words of wisdom that I have is that we've all got to come together. We've got to roll up our sleeves. We've got to sit down, hash it out, figure out what can we do as humans to help each other. It's nothing about being black, white, indifferent. It's about the human race. When you were born girl. I was born boy. It has nothing to do with our color as much as our heart, our thought process. How do we make a difference where we are in this world? Let's think of how many disadvantaged people we have right here in the world in which we live in. And that is what's going to make a difference in how we are perceived and appreciated by our fellow man.
Malcolm X says, you stand for anything, you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. And so my ask is that we all stand during this time. Even when it's painful, even when it's tough, that we stand, that we push forward, that we be honest, that we be vulnerable, that we ask questions, that we hold space for those that don't get space held for them often. I also would ask that we be love, tender, because black folks need it right now. Yeah.
And nobody's asking for a handout. Nobody's asking for any of that. It's let's be fair, let's be just.
Yes.
Let's be fair, let's be just. Yeah, I just can't thank both of you enough for just like being willing to like hop on the call and to allow me to like just Sarah and I, to just like jump into conversation and, to allow us to maybe ask the stupid questions. I'm so thankful to, of course, call you two friends and to be your allies in this. And of course, let us know what we can do. Things are arising. We're trying really hard to kind of like follow the lead that we're seeing put down our Black and brown friends, but like give us the direction, and we're here to take it. Like, we are willing and wanting, and that's what we want. We want to be active participants in the right way. So just thank you so much for, again, just engaging us in conversation, because again, that's a responsibility that I know that it's not always fun to bear. So I appreciate the fact that you're willing to chat with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate just the support, the love, the, reaching out. Nicole and I first, when she called me, I said, absolutely. It would be my honor and my pleasure, because we've all got to be on the same page. We've all got to understand we're human, and we've got to make a difference no matter what. So it is my honor and pleasure, and I hope to have you ladies on one evening to talk about your blog on my digital platform. And Nakia, it's time for you to co-host with me one night. You ain't even got to leave home.
Yes.
Just put on a cute top and just, right. It's from the neck up. Is all we can do. Right. Gotta hang out with me one night. You do.
Absolutely. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
All right. Ladies,
thank you guys. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for spending part of your day with us. We want to give thanks to our network, Public House Media, for our intro beats to Jason Bards with Cybernetics. Our logo art, we want to remember Patrice. You can find his work at normalpersons.com.
Be sure to follow Disarming Disability on Facebook and Instagram. And lastly, be sure to check out our website, disarmingdisability.com, where you can find all 13 episodes of Season 1, links to resources, transcriptions, and discussion questions for each episode. And check out our blog, where we feature amazing disability advocates. See you next week.